Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday morning, and I just wanted to spend a little time with you because, as much as I enjoy the adventure of online services, it's a lot better when we're together, and I hope that that time will come soon. Anyway, we really hope that you guys are doing well. I love interacting even on the emails and different things like that. Um, we've been doing well. Not that much has changed. A little more time at home talking to my cat. Um, he doesn't have much to say really other than feed me and let me out. Did bake a cake, chocolate cake. It was good. I ate it all. Gained a little weight there. As you can see, my due is coming in pretty well. Eventually, somebody or something's going to drop in it, and I'm not even going to know it's there. Lawn service should be here shortly. It's at the church on Wednesday. I might just ask them if they could cut my hair while they're here. Anyway, just wanted to think about our situation, maybe some questions that you've had. I hope that you're growing through all this. It is an opportunity, but why would God do this? Why would He allow this virus, this pandemic, to circulate all over the world and impact everyone? It's a pretty radical thing. I mean, was it just a matter of neglect? Was it a matter of improper sanitation? Just a product of nature? Who knows? Was it a conspiracy? Uh, but one thing we do know is this. I don't know which one it was, but one of the great theologians of our day, one of the Kardashian sisters, explained it this way. She said, the problem is not that a person ate a bat. The problem is that a person ate an apple. And I think what she is saying is something very true, is that behind it all, disease and sickness and death are consequences of the fall. Way back in Genesis, the original creation wasn't meant to be this way. But because we are sinners, it's actually one of the consequences of sin. Now, sometimes we think that we should always live a life that's happily ever after, but we know in our lives that it doesn't always work that way. So as we think about this, I want us to think about what God might be doing, how we can grow in this situation. And I want to read the first verse for us to think about is John chapter 16, verse 33. Jesus is talking to his disciples before he is being led to the cross. And he's telling them, he says, look, guys, your life's not going to be easy if you follow me. He says, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. That's where peace is found. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. So what he's saying is, hope in me. Now, it's easy to hope in the things that we enjoy, the comforts of life, in our blessings when things are going well. But every now and then, God will throw a little curve in that to get us to make sure that our hope is in Him in every area of our lives. In the second verse that I think gives us comfort and something to think about is a familiar verse in Romans chapter 8. You know what it says. It says, and we know that in all things, God works together for good to those who love Him, to those who've been called according to His purpose. So somewhere in God's grand plan, He has foreordained this virus so that something good could happen to believers. It's in His purpose and His plan, even though it doesn't seem like that. Before the fall, things worked in harmony. If there were viruses, I know there's good bacteria today. I mean, so it could have all worked in harmony before the fall, but afterwards, as I mentioned, things really changed. But here's the thing. There's a phrase that we kicked around in seminary that you hear in, reform circles, and it's this: God can use sin sinlessly. And God can use the consequences of the fall, the consequences of sin for His purpose. He's not the author of sin, but yet He can use it. He might use it as a form of judgment. Look at Noah. Water is a wonderful thing. Water is vital to life, but He used nature to bring about judgment on the behavior of the world. Or think about when Moses was saying, let my people go. And the Pharaoh wouldn't listen. And so God brought about plagues, natural plagues, to change the heart of Pharaoh, which ended in the angel of death. Death is our enemy, yet even God can use that sinlessly. Or I'll tell you another example. In Genesis chapter 50, the story of Joseph. His brothers sold him into slavery. They were sinfully jealous. They were suspicious. They didn't like Joseph at all. After they sold him into slavery, they thought they were done with him, but he rose to power in Egypt. Then a great famine came across the land, and because of his position, he could control the amount of grain, and he stored up grain for when the famine came. And the brothers ended up having to go to Joseph and asking Joseph to take care of him. And they went, "Oh my goodness, that's our brother that we sold into slavery." But Joseph said in Genesis chapter 50, he says, "You intended to harm me," sinful behavior, "but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." So God used the sinful motivations and the sinful actions of Joseph's brothers for his ultimate purpose and good. And I'll tell you another one. We're just done with Easter. Think about the Pharisees. Think about Judas. Think about the Easter crowd. Think about Pilate. God worked in their sinful selfishness, wanting to put Jesus to death. Judas wanting to get some money, or whatever his motivations were. The Pharisees wanted to hold on to their power. Pilate was just manipulating the scenes. He didn't really have much regard. He was mocking the Jews and Jesus, saying he was the king of the Jews. But it was really their sin that put Jesus on the cross. Specifically, God used their sin. He was there because of all our sin. But God specifically used them. And that worked a miracle for us. So how might God be using this virus? Hey, you know what? How many stories were there on the news about Easter egg hunts and Easter bunnies? What were the stories about? They were about how churches could preach the gospel in light of the climate. Jesus is more on the forefront during this than any time, at least that I can remember. I think another thing it does is this virus, like any plague or trial, causes people to wonder about their own mortality. Nobody likes death. What if? I go to Lowe's the other day and I'm walking around and I'm going, what if they have the virus? I wonder if they have the virus. What's going to happen to them? They're probably thinking the same thing. What if he has the virus? What if we get it? What's going to happen? So it causes people to think about what's most important in their lives. It causes the church, or prods the church, to wake up. We're called to prayer. We're called to serve. A lot of Christians have Jesus in their back pocket as an insurance policy in case of death, or fire insurance, and keep them out of hell or something. But they're still living the American way of life, and maybe this is causing people to think about what really matters. I think here's the thing: God is providentially in the middle of all of this. He's personally in the middle of this with all of us, with all believers. So in the midst of our quarantine, I want to call to mind actually the verse that's going to be our call to worship this Sunday. It's Psalm 46:10, where he says, "Be still and know that I am God, that I'll be exalted among the nations, that I'll be exalted in all the earth." I believe that that's going to happen. In the meantime, let me encourage you, maybe rather than spending all the time you can trying to figure out about this virus, watching the news every day, see if there's anything new, carve out a little more time to spend with the Lord, to be still in his presence. Study the word. Start in the Gospel of John. Just read it. Read all of the accounts of Easter that's found in all the Gospels, and spend more time just thinking about the Lord. Anyway, I hope that's some form of encouragement. Again, we miss y'all and we appreciate you very much. I so appreciate all the hard work that everybody's doing, and I appreciate how things are going. Even though I hope that we're back together soon. Blessings to you. I hope this is an encouragement. Have a wonderful Wednesday.